Imagine boarding a flight, excited for your first ever experience in first class, only to be told you don't belong there. That's exactly what happened to a young black teen who had her world turned upside down in an instant. What should have been a moment of pride and excitement quickly spiraled into embarrassment, confusion, and anger when a flight attendant asked her to leave first class for no clear reason. The passengers watched in silence as tension filled the cabin, but little did anyone know, this was only the beginning. Her father, a man known for his calm, yet firm authority, was immediately informed. Within minutes, a single phone call would change the entire atmosphere on the plane, sending shockwaves through the airline's operations. Everyone from crew members to passengers sensed that something extraordinary was about to unfold, but no one could predict the outcome. This story isn't just about a single incident. It's about injustice, families standing up, and the ripple effects of speaking out when something isn't right. Stay tuned as we dive into how one father's call managed to challenge an airline's decisions and left everyone on that flight completely stunned. The next moments were about to turn everything upside down. The teen, just 16, had been looking forward to this trip for months. First class wasn't just a seat, it was a symbol of achievement, a reward for her hard work in school and extracurriculars. Her excitement had been tangible, and she couldn't stop talking about it the night before the flight. But now, sitting in the back of the plane, after being asked to move, she felt a mix of shame and disbelief. The whispers from nearby passengers made it worse, leaving her wondering why she was being singled out. Her father, a respected businessman known for handling situations with precision, had a reputation for making things right without creating unnecessary chaos. But he was also a man who refused to let injustice slide. When he got the call about what happened mid-flight, something in him shifted. He knew this wasn't just a misunderstanding. There was something deeper going on. Meanwhile, the flight attendants exchanged tense glances, unsure how to handle the unfolding situation. The captain remained silent, focused on the controls, but the atmosphere in the cabin had shifted. Passengers sensed that this wasn't an ordinary delay or complaint, something major was brewing, and no one on board could predict just how far this father's intervention would go. As the plane cruised at 35,000 feet, the tension in the cabin was palpable. Some passengers whispered in confusion, others openly stared at the young teen, unsure what had just happened. She hugged her backpack tightly, trying to hold back tears, while memories of her father's advice echoed in her mind, "Stand tall, even when the world treats you unfairly." She clung to that thought, but inside, the embarrassment and frustration were building. Back on the ground, her father's calm demeanor masked a storm of determination. He dialed the airline's corporate office, his voice firm, yet controlled. Every word he spoke carried weight, commanding attention and respect. Airline representatives scrambled, trying to manage the situation, but it quickly became clear that this was no ordinary customer complaint. Meanwhile, other passengers had begun speculating. Some sided with the teen, while others quietly questioned why the incident had escalated. The flight attendants, caught between policy and morality, exchanged uneasy glances, realizing that this was bigger than a simple seating issue. Even the captain felt the tension, sensing that the ripple effects of this call could reach far beyond the plane. Somewhere in the background, the airline's higher-ups began to stir, aware that a single incident could become a public storm. The question hanging over everyone's heads was simple. What would happen next, and how far would her father go to ensure justice? By now, the atmosphere on the plane had shifted from awkward tension to near chaos. Passengers were nervously checking their phones, some sharing updates on social media, others speculating about what was really happening. The teen sat frozen, her hands clenched in her lap, her heart pounding faster with every passing minute. She could feel eyes on her, some sympathetic, some curious, as if everyone was waiting for the next move. Down below, her father's voice had grown sharper, commanding the attention of the airline's executives. Every sentence he spoke carried authority, and it was clear he wasn't going to let this incident slide. Flight attendants whispered among themselves, unsure how to follow policy while facing the unmistakable pressure from someone who could shake the airline's reputation with a single call. Meanwhile, a few passengers began recording videos, sensing that something unprecedented was unfolding. The captain maintained focus on the controls, but even he couldn't ignore the shifting energy in the cabin. Crew members were exchanging urgent signals, and the teen could feel the electricity of anticipation growing. Every second felt stretched, as though the entire flight was holding its breath. The stage was set for a confrontation that would not only determine her fate in first class, but could send shockwaves through the airline itself. And in that moment, nobody knew exactly what was coming, but everyone could feel it was about to erupt. Just when it seemed the tension couldn't get any higher, an unexpected announcement crackled over the plane's intercom. The airline's ground team had ordered the flight to be delayed at the next airport, citing operational issues. Whispers rippled through the cabin. Some passengers assumed it was routine, but others immediately connected it to the unfolding first-class incident. The teen's pulse quickened. Her father's call had already caused a stir, and now the delay added a whole new layer of uncertainty. In the cockpit, the captain exchanged a grave look with the co-pilot. On the ground, airline staff were frantically consulting supervisors, realizing that the situation was spiraling out of control. Meanwhile, the teen's father, sensing that the airline might be trying to downplay the issue, pressed harder, demanding accountability and answers. His words carried weight, but they also intensified the pressure on the crew and executives, leaving everyone on edge. Suddenly, a senior flight attendant approached the teen, her expression a mix of worry and hesitation. "Sir, ma'am, we might have a bigger problem than just seating," she whispered, barely audible over the murmurs. The teen's eyes widened, and passengers leaned forward, sensing the story was about to take another dramatic turn. The cabin was now a powder keg of tension, and everyone knew the next few minutes could completely change the course of the flight, and the airline itself, as the plane finally began its descent toward the nearest airport. The tension in the cabin reached a breaking point. Airline executives were now on speakerphone with the cockpit, scrambling to contain the situation, while the teen's father remained calm but firm, dictating every demand with authority. Passengers watched anxiously, sensing that the long-awaited resolution was imminent. When the plane touched down, the airline staff were instructed to come forward and formally apologize to the teen. Crew members approached her with hesitant faces, explaining that the seating error had been a result of miscommunication and bias in handling passenger assignments. The teen's father accepted the apology but didn't stop there. He insisted the airline implement immediate policy changes to prevent such incidents from happening again. The cabin erupted in a mix of relief and admiration, passengers clapping quietly as the teen finally reclaimed her dignity. Just as everyone thought the ordeal was over, a final twist emerged. One of the passengers, a journalist traveling incognito, revealed that they had recorded the entire incident within hours. The story went viral, putting national pressure on the airline. The teen's moment in first class had turned into a powerful statement against discrimination, leaving the father, daughter, and passengers stunned but empowered. The flight had landed, but its impact was only beginning, reaching far beyond the airplane walls. And in the days that followed, the airline issued a public statement, acknowledging the mistake and promising to review its policies on first-class seating and passenger treatment. Social media buzzed with support for the teen and her father, praising their courage and determination. The viral video recorded by the journalist became a symbol of standing up against unfair treatment, inspiring conversations about accountability and equality in travel. The teen returned to school with a newfound confidence. What had started as an embarrassing and frustrating incident turned into a life lesson about resilience and the power of speaking up. Her father, proud but humble, reminded her that courage often comes in moments of discomfort and that advocating for what is right can make a real difference. Passengers who had witnessed the event shared their stories too, some reflecting on their own biases, others inspired to act when they see injustice. The flight crew received training, and the airline implemented new protocols to ensure every passenger was treated fairly, proving that one stand against unfair treatment could create lasting change. In the end, the teen's experience became more than a personal victory. It sparked a ripple effect of awareness, empathy, and accountability. A single flight had taught everyone involved that standing up for what's right can truly move mountains, and sometimes, change begins at 35,000 feet.